Hey, this is Anthony Hannigan. Welcome back to musicmoose.org. We last left off, and my goodness gracious, what can I do if I walk up to a jam or if I'm in a jam and they call it a song? I don't know what I'm doing. Well, my advice, in which I'm a pretty stern believer of, is that you don't put the instrument down. It's not time to take a break. This is your best learning opportunity, especially because I think as humans, we make mistakes, but we realize, you know, the next time if it's just like you're working on something and you hit your finger, you're never going to hit your finger again. I can almost promise you, although some people do, but we're not going to talk about those type of people. We're going to get right into when you make a mistake playing, it never is a mistake. It's part of the experience. It's part of some of the best stuff in the world probably came out from just experimenting in what sounded like a mistake until it found its particular groove and became a song. So one thing to do, as I advised earlier, was understanding the chords, knowing the chords, playing the root chord over top of what's going on. Listen for the changes because the chords are actual frequencies and how long it takes for us to hear it by the time it gets to our ear. And then secondly, how you can play over top of something. We were using that the chord progression G, E, A, D, G. So it starts in G and it resolves in G. So basically the first part of it is kind of, you should know somewhat of scales and variations of scales. You know, you have your notes, which are great, but if you play them over and over, you're going to drive someone completely insane. So it's nice just to take certain notes out of that. In this particular instance, it's just play along like, just do G, E, A, D. Now it's time for a scale or a riff on the resolve. G, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can put in a bunch of different licks as long as you fit into that time cycle right there. So let me just show you one more time. It'll be like G, E, A, to a D. And now you can do the walk up. And the way that I would kind of do that too. That's a lot of notes to throw in there. A lot of people would be happy just with like it. So basically what I'm doing is I'm taking, here's my G. Its second note is in the G scale. So I'm starting it at a completely different place. Normally it would be. What I'm doing is starting it right here, halfway through it. Again, this note right here falls into the second position of the G. It's also an A. Nothing is going to really sound bad unless you play it in a completely different key. But if you use the root notes and part of the root scale, you should land on your feet every single time. The question is, that was posed to me many a times, is how do I come up with some of the things that I play? And I don't really have an answer for that because I don't have anything predetermined before I actually play it. And it just sort of happens. In my mind, I sort of hear where I want to wind up, but how I launch myself into getting there is never pre-planned. Unless it's a tune that I've explicitly written for an arrangement and stuff, there's definitely a beginning and an end. But as far as jumping in on a song that I've never played before, I just kind of work myself around that until I come up with a lot of different variations of the same exact chord. So to say just on the G, you can do, and you can do. So those are simple. And hop around a little bit too. You don't have to just hit the note and move on to the next one in the series. You can stay, a lot of the jazz greats, and I've listened to David and Ryan play the banjo, they'll take notes and they'll come back and they'll kind of throw you a curve. They'll come back to the note that they started on, but it's blending in with all the stuff that they're doing. And it kind of fools the ear, and it's really, really cool stuff. So in this case, like if I went, again, that time I kind of landed right here on that particular. So if I'm right here already, here's my G. I have all those notes to work around. I could just play that whole song. That was the same thing over and over 3 times that covered my G, E, A, and then just finished it up in D. We're going to cover a lot of this when we play some of these tunes, but I just wanted to touch base with that and get you guys practicing your scales and variations of your scales. Walk them up in 8 notes, walk them up in 2 notes, and go back. So much that you can do, and you are the guide of this vessel, so enjoy the ride. We're going to take off for this series of the Moose. We'll be back at you real soon, so moose on, everyone.